Welcome to Solstice Brighter Day class, where things here in the Northern Hemisphere start to turn brighter. So let's set our sights there and take a comfortable seat to begin the practice. Anything I suggest today, if anything is uncomfortable for you, please make this your customized practice. This is to make your day and body brighter, so customize as you need. As I was saying before, this is our chakra themed class, the 7 chakras, the energy centers along the spine, yogic tradition that have wonderful symbols and colors and themes. And let's just follow that path. So take a comfortable seat and we'll take those sits bones as our anchor on the edge of a blanket or cushion. And you can kneel or sit in cross-legged, whatever's comfortable for you. Support yourself. Allow the pelvis to tilt slightly forward, spilling forward so that you allow for that natural curve in the low back. Take the hands to the thighs and feel that sense of connection to our compass point on the earth, our anchor, that gravity holding us here and connecting us all around the world. Close the eyes. Come inward to notice the alignment of your spine, beginning at the tailbone between the 2 sits bones and following that curve. So bringing our witnessing and awareness of the spine to begin with. Following the curve of the low back, will come up towards the ribs, the low ribs, connecting us to all of those vital organs. Feeling those abdominal muscles holding us up. And then our shoulder blades are going to glide down the back as if there's just a nice oiling of those joints underneath the bones, sliding them towards the sits bones. And then we've got sailing on past those shoulder blades up towards the neck. We pass our area adjacent to the shoulder sockets or in between them. So let's take those shoulders and drop them away from the ears as we align them with our ears. And then feel that graceful curve of the neck rising up towards the skull. And we can align our skull almost like a bobblehead on the dashboard of a car, just lightness in that head. Up towards the crown of the head. So now we've aligned those energy centers, our physical space, our energetic space. Notice the breath and the effect on the breath as you align yourself a little higher, a little taller, a little more rooted at the same time. So inhale and exhale. Lengthen your exhale as you come into a conscious breath. So this conscious breath is going to light up the energy centers. And we're going to first breathe into the root, way down at the base of the spine, the tailbone, the earth connection there. The color's red. So our colored light here is red. Notice as you go up the spine, if this brightness, if there's areas that feel brighter or duller, and then just see if you can bring awareness to those places as we practice. This is the root chakra at the base of the spine, Muladhara, your safety, your power center. Moving on up towards the sacrum, that triangular bone at the spine. Color is orange. Svadhisthana, creativity, water, fluidity. And then on our tour upwards, towards the rib cage, we'll meet our solar plexus in the front of the body. Underneath the ribs, the yellow light, self-esteem and willpower, the fire within. Take a breath there. And then we'll travel another breath up towards the heart. Green, anahata, compassion, self-love and giving love to others. Air. And let's continue traveling up with our breath to the throat, Vishuddhi, the throat chakra, self-expression and communication, clearing that out with our breath as we align. We can feel that breath traveling through the throat, connection to the ether, and then all the way to the top of the spine, which resides in the skull. We've got the third eye between the eyebrows of indigo light, purple or indigo, agna, intuition, light. And then finally, the crown of the head. Imagine breathing into that crown. And you imagine that white light above us. The crown chakra, it resides above the crown. So we're connecting ourselves to the higher sense of connection to other beings, to the skies, the cosmos. Now we've got that rainbow lit up. You can flutter the eyes open. Take the hands beside you, take the palms up towards the sky. Let's invite that light in, rising up above the crown of the head. Imagine that ball of white light above you. Just kind of hold that in between your hands, roll the shoulders away from the ears. So we take that tension out of the neck and then take ourselves into prayer position. See if you can get taller through the sides of your body. And then allow the prayer position to hover above your head about 1/2 inch with the elbows out to the side. Grow a little centimeter taller towards that crown of the, towards the prayer position. And then rise up again. Inhale it up towards the sky. Exhale, feel your root, but feel the length in the spine. And then we'll sway side to side in this prayer position, feeling the root of each sits bone as our anchor as we lean to side. And as we lean over, we might feel the other side of the ribs opening up, allowing more breath. So this is getting more into that center chakras, the solar plexus, that yellow light, the heart, allowing more fluidity there. And then come on back up, and we're going to stay in this prayer position. And now we're going to curl the spine. So we're going to curl like our cat pose forward. Allow the arms to just follow the line of that curve. And then swing yourself back up to vertical and allow the green light of the heart to shine up towards the sky. You don't have to look up too much, just a tiny bit. And then bring those thumbs back above the head. Allow the the prayer position above the head, and allow the thumbs to drift to your occipital ridge at the base of the skull. So this is our time of year when those thoughts and mind is in a flurry. So let's give a little head massage here. We're going to take circles with our thumbs in the outside direction. And then inward. You can feel that reverberating through the skull, through the head, and then slide the thumbs towards the ears, and we'll connect inside there by pulling gently out on the ears, giving ourselves those big ears for a moment. Allow the jaw to loosen as you do this. We do some chatting with our families these days, perhaps. So let's loosen the jaw. Any tension there? And then we'll visit that third eye. Put the two fingers on the third eye and trace the line across the eyebrows to the temples. And then massage the temples backward. Whatever pressure feels comfortable for you. Continue this bright breath down the spine and a long exhale. And then change the direction of the circles. And then just take the fingers to the scalp if you'd like, fingertips to the scalp if you'd like to just squeeze a bit there and massage the scalp. Relax the scalp. Inhale and exhale. Take our arms forward, palms facing each other. Just feel the reach of the shoulders away from the body. So point away, pull away from the body, and then pull back towards the body, feeling those shoulder blades come towards each other, feeling the shoulders roll away from the back. So we like that position of retracting and just gliding shoulders down so we can keep the larger muscles engaged as we move forward through the world. Let's take the back of the hands together. A big inhale and an exhale. We'll just take a lion's breath as we exhale and part the seas in front of us. Let's take that again. Inhale, palms together. Exhale. Bring it together again. And then exhale. Throat chakra activated. Let's come on up to the sky, really get long again, and we'll sweep ourselves into a twist. So we're going to take ourselves over towards the right, turning that string of lights over to the right, towards the right knee. Keep the head in a neutral place first, just feeling the twist here. And then come on back up to center, inhale, exhale to the other side, drop the fingertips, using those extra leverage of your fingertip roots. And then inhale up, again in the middle, this time exhale. We're going to take the fingertips down and really activate those roots as we turn our chin over the right shoulder, holding here, continuing to follow your breath. The inhale elongates the spine and the exhale allows a twist. And then we'll just carve that path as we turn our chin over the left shoulder. And then when we get here and we're looking over towards the left, let's take the right hand and wrap it behind the back. So you can take the back of the hand to the sacrum. So that's just a little extra extension on that right side. And then bring back to your neutral gaze here, looking over above the sternum. So you've got that chin in the sternum line. And then we'll take our left ear toward left shoulder. So if this is easy for you, if this feels uncomfortable at all, just come and look forward and drop the ear to the shoulder. We don't want any force. We want to soften into this flexibility here. Take your left hand, help that head back up. Unwrap your right arm, sweep the arms up to the sky. Inhale, follow your exhale as the fingers come down and turn towards your left shoulder. Now you're not forcing it over the left shoulder, you're just looking towards it. Inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale, feel the root and the twist. And then we'll turn our chin over the right shoulder or towards the right shoulder, no force here. And then wrap your left hand so that the back of the hand is on your sacrum, or you can wrap it as wide as you want, as far as you want. Feel that extension. Bring the gaze forward. Again, if this is something too much for your neck, you can face forward and do this. And exhale as your right ear comes toward right shoulder. Use your exhale to soften this. And then take your right hand, help that head back up, help yourself, and then come on back, swivel back to center. Just feel that fluidity in the spine. Feel free to wiggle it around. Change the cross of the legs if you are in your cross-legged. That helps a lot. Take your hands to the hips. So that's towards our root and our create our sacrum chakras, so down low. So let's stir that up. Keep your hands rooted on the thighs here as you take circles with the torso. So we're really making more, bringing more fluidity to the base there and the hip sockets. And make this circle as large as you'd like. So no measured diameter here, just take your own body awareness, and then we'll take a change of direction. Inhale and exhale. And then find center, find that axis point in the middle as you slow the circle down. And then there you are, right in your center, true north above your head. Beautiful. Let's take our hands on top of one another at the solar plexus. So below the ribs there, right hand on top of left. So feel the own support of your own hands as your elbows are out to the side. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll curl our fingers so that they hold each other's hand. And then gently tug outward towards our elbows. Inhale, exhale. Feel those larger muscles engage, supporting our heart, supporting our breath, just as we allow some closing of the chain here. And then change that to the other side, left on top of right, and a gentle tug outward. This is Ganesh Mudra, clearing out some obstacles. And then sweep our arms out to wingspan. Let's feel ourselves flying here, extending out from that green light of the heart outward, radiating through our arms all the way to the fingertips. Let's touch down the fingertips and then try out our wings as we inhale up and then down, gliding through those hip shoulder sockets. And then one more time. And then bring the hands forward, palms up to the sky. Or just take some good wishes and send them up to the sky with a lion's breath here. Inhale. On the exhale, let's sweep the arms up next to the ears. Inhale, exhale. Feel it sending out sparkles out there to the universe. Lovely. So let's take that ourselves a different position on the mat. We're going to move the blanket aside, move the props out of the way. Take your feet to the base of the mat, and we're going to get right into our core here. So spread the toes here. Just look at those toes and make sure you can spread them out. That gives a lot of nice opening messages to the rest of the legs when you open up the toes. Feel free to interdigitate. So put your fingers in there in between the toes and see if you can open those up. Not always an easy task. Yeah, help it out. And then place the base of your feet on the mat. So you have a little more surface to work with. And the rising up of the arches of the feet, and then the heels are nice and planted. So we have a nice base as we keep those hip width apart. Bend the knees, keep the hands behind the thighs. And then hold on to that leverage as you find your sits bones again on the mat and take that beautiful rainbow of lights up the spine. Just noticing, again, noticing the lights, noticing where there's more energy or more brightness than others. Inhale into that belly, all the way to the root. Exhale. Nice and long. Now we're going to see if we can just strengthen that stabilization as we lean back, but we're not hunching back. We're keeping ourselves tall through the heart as we lean back and keep our sits bones as the hinge point here. So notice you might want to tuck in the low ribs here so that you can really feel that transverse abdominis. That's the really inner abdominals that can activate just by tucking in there. And then see if you can keep that heart tall, the sternum tall, while you tuck in the low ribs. And if you need to sit up a little more, if something's straining in the low back, please don't go as far. But see if you can keep that length through the spine and then open up the hands to the sky as you fold away from the midline, thumbs outward. Notice the broadening across the collarbones. Inhale, exhale, hold here for a couple more breaths just so you can notice the muscles activate. If there's any strain, take the hands back to the thighs for that support. And then we'll meet back with our hands on the thighs. Sit up for a moment just so you can re-engage those sits bones. Come on back, lift one, as you take that nice tall length, we lift one foot off the mat and then the other. Just noticing, again, we're taking our core support at that root and the sacral area. Each, just take this left to right. Since we're doing this early in the practice, take it easy. If you want to test yourself and take 2 feet off the mat, feel free to float your boat here. Keeping the hands behind the thighs for extra support and leverage. Still getting a core workout here. Just even holding on to those thighs. Bring the feet down to the mat. Take the hands to the floor. Now you're going to support yourself as you curl down to the mat. Take the hand to the back of the skull. And then we'll turn on to the side and simply flip over for our cobra sequence. Again, taking a beautiful arc through that rainbow of the spine. Take the hands below the forehead. So we take our third eye to our hands and just feel that draping of this spine in the horizontal direction. Inhale through the crown of the head. Send the breath all the way down the colors of the spine, down to the root, the red root, and point the tailbone towards the heels. Notice as you point the tailbone toward the heels, exhale, notice that you activate your glutes, those very important muscles to stabilize our core. Press the tops of the feet into the mat and your toes, those toes we were just spreading. See if you can spread those out on the mat and just see how that engages your legs. They might cramp a bit. In my practice, it's kind of a constant thing. My feet cramp. That's just what it is. So just, work with that, and you can don't go so far into it if it cramps. Inhale, exhale. Let's lift the head up and take the hands next to the shoulders. Pull back with your hands. That's that magic little trick there. As you pull them back towards the heels, you'll feel the lengthening of the spine, and then you're going to naturally curl up into our baby cobra, pointing the tailbone, safety for the low back, and then come down, third eye to the mat. That indigo color of the third eye, still point, calming the mind. As you take that third eye to the mat, just feel a sense of stillness in the mind. And then the connection to the entire spine as we inhale up into another baby cobra. Strengthening our back muscles here. Come back. Keeping those elbows docked at the ribs. Inhale again up. And then exhale down. Come down with the forehead. Slide the arms out next to the ears. Feel the length from the toes all the way to the fingertips here. Inhale yourself into a longer extension. Exhale, feel the earth beneath you. And we're going to strengthen the support of our spine with our locust series. So we lift up one arm. First, we'll start with the right arm up and the head and the left leg. Inhale up. Exhale down. We're going to take the left arm and right leg this time up off the mat. And think of the length as you lift up. And exhale down. And alternate sides, following the breath, particularly paying attention to your spine and to those areas that feel like they need a little brightening. That lift up includes the lengthening through the toes and the fingertips. And the coming down, we're just feeling gravity, floating and landing. And then come down. We're going to take our superhero stance here, locust pose, into our everything off the mat, arms, legs, and head. And pointing the tailbone really lengthens your low back here. Exhale down to the mat. Really lengthen your exhale here. Inhale, float yourself back up, hold. And come down. Rest for another breath. Release what you want to release, especially out of your third eye there. And we'll come up and take a little swim in some warm water. It's cold out. Inhale. And then paddle your legs and your arms. Keep paddling, but keep breathing. Don't go up as high if you feel any strain. Sigh it out. Bring one ear to the mat. And just feel your hips sway them side to side. So we release that tension. Inhale and exhale. Great. Take the forehead to the mat. We're going to take the hands next to the shoulders again and ease ourselves up into tabletop. Knees hip width apart. If you need to add a cushion underneath, you can do that. And in our later standing up practice, we're going to be using a block. So you want one of those nearby. And let's come to tabletop. And just feel the length of the spine here again. With our inhale, lengthening the horizontal here. Exhale, feeling the base. Wrists below shoulders, knees below hips, alignment, and then curl up from there into cat pose. And really drop the head, releasing the neck at the end. So we're using this moment to just hang the head down, take the stress out of the neck, and then into cow, using your breath to come up, tailbone up, curl up through the spine. As we travel along the colors here, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, and then back into cow, luxuriate here. And if you need to take another direction, your spine side to side or wiggle it around, feel free. And then come back. We'll take the big toes together, the knees wide apart. And we're going to slide our hips back to the heels. If this is uncomfortable for you, your knees, you can take a blanket behind your knees, or you can just go onto the floor and hug your knees. Just take a child's pose here. Now, if you have a block nearby, extra attention to our third eye. If you want to take a block underneath your third eye, you can do that here. Just on the edge there. Just feeling that weight of your mental energy releasing through the third eye. And if you can always use this block to take the flexion out of your spine. If it's too uncomfortable for you to go to the floor, you can set that block a little higher. Using our props as our friends. Inhale into the back of the body. So the lights on the back of the spine shining upward. Inhale. And exhale. Release. And then we'll take that block aside as we take a side stretch here. Take the forehead to the floor, and then we'll walk the hands and curl the spine over towards the right. As you do so, imagine that anchor, just a heavy feeling on your left hip, pulling you gently backward towards the back of the mat. So you're keeping that anchor and opening through the left ribs. Take your left hand on top of the right here. If you can hold your own hand there. You can look your gaze out underneath the right arm if you want to take a little twist here. Exhale back, bring the gaze down again and come on and walk all the way over to the other side. Let's take ourselves to the root, to the sacrum as well, rooting through the right hip. And then feeling the arc here. Again, if you're on the floor and you just want to hug the knees, you can lengthen yourself on the mat and do a side stretch. Feel the belly, breathe with the lungs. Take your right hand on top of left, interlink the fingers. Release, and then walk back to center. Feeling the length here. Come forward. We're going to transition to on our back. We're just taking a brief hamstring stretch to prep us for a standing pose. So roll onto the back. Keep the knees bent. If you want to use a strap, you can, but I'm just taking a very brief hamstring visit here as we take our hands to the back of the right thigh, bend the right knee, and take that foot up to the sky. Bend and straighten the leg. So that when we do our pyramid pose up top there, we have a little prep. Take this leg back straight up. You can take it in a diagonal line if you want. Just hold onto that back of the thigh and then slide your right heel towards the left hip. And a bending and straightening here will just encourage that opening. No forcing the hamstrings. They will not have it. Anchoring through your right hip will come back to neutral, and you can take your toes out towards the right shoulder and then bend and straighten. Knee is in line with the toes here. So we're really opening through the hip. We're rotating through the hip here as we bend and straighten. Rotation. At the root. Find the breath. And then bend the knee. And just drift that right foot down. Inhale the left knee towards you. Hold on to the back of the thigh. Find the angle that's right for you here with our hip and our leg. And bend and straighten. Find that connection point, the rotation of the left hip as we take our heel towards the sky and then guide it across towards the right hip and bend and straighten here. And breath is required here for a release of our tight hamstrings. And then come back to neutral. Take the toes out towards the left shoulder and bend and straighten. Send that breath down to the root and bring it on back with the exhale towards the crown of your head. And then come back to neutral, bend the knee and release. Just lengthen out the legs on the mat. Inhale the arms next to the ears. Inhale and exhale, roll onto the side. Move that blanket out of the way if you had it on your mat. And we're going to come up into our down dog and have a block handy for some of that standing practice. Prepping for down dog, tabletop, curl the back toes under, bring the hands a bit forward, index fingers pointing to the top of the mat. Alignment here, so we roll shoulders, just taking the shoulders and gravitating them towards away from the ears, right? So we activate our large muscles, and then keeping the knees bent, bring the ribs to the thighs. Find your feet hip width apart and tip toes. Take the right heel down and then left, alternating, being able to straighten those legs and stretch the hamstrings. Inhale up, exhale down. And now our bright lights are in a diagonal line. See if you can bring your awareness there. And then bend both knees equally, tiptoes, ribs to thighs, and then see if you can bring your heels evenly towards the mat. If not, no force. Bend the knees, walk the hands to the feet. Just hang down here if you can, with your feet hip width apart. Release the head, shake the head yes and no. And we're going to fold up. So take the hands to the hips, come into a flat back. Inhale through the back body. And then come on up, exhale, hinging at the hips. Here we are at the base of our mat. Bend, keep the knees bent. If you're coming dizzy, lower the altitude a little bit. And then come on up. Great. So let's grab a block. There's mine. And we're going to come towards the middle of the mat. So we're going to take that strong mountain pose. Right spine tall. Inhale. Exhale the left foot forward. So we're coming into our, this is our warrior one base. So we're going to have the back foot at that 30-degree angle and the front foot facing the front. Let's see if we can guide our hips forward as well. So inhale, grow tall. Exhale, just notice the right hip drawing forward and keeping that back foot nice and grounded. Let's take that block into the right hand, and we're going to hold the block up above our heads like a bright light. Inhale, let's look up at the block. And then feel this natural curve of the spine as we do this. Maybe a slight back bend here. Heart shining upward. Throat chakra opening up. And exhale. Keep the length. Look up, neutral gaze. And then we're going to hinge, taking the left hand to the left thigh. So anchor here as you lengthen from the pelvis outward. Keeping the length here. And just see if you can bring that block to the floor. I know we've practiced this before. If you need to hold on to anything else, it's fine. Just pressing into that left thigh. Really feel the length here. So we're rooting through the feet and folding at that center and keeping the spine nice and long here. Pyramid pose. Now grab the block, micro bend your left knee and hinge on upward, back with the block, looking up. Exhale, place the block down. And then we're going to try a little balance here. So from our hands on the hips here, guiding the hips forward, bend the left knee towards the middle two toes, tiptoe with your right toes forward, straighten the left leg. Now we're here and we're ready to launch into flight as we anchor through, keep those squared off hips, and then lift the right foot off the floor, hinging forward into our warrior three, really pressing through that back foot. Keep yourself connected. And hands can stay on the hips, or you can come out into flight with your arms out to the side. Really feeling the lift of your left quad. And then hands to hips, guiding your right foot back. And then we'll step back to the base of the mat again. Take the block into your left hand. Find your back to the compass point here. Inhale into mountain pose. Exhale, find your feet on the floor. Find yourself in space. Exhale, right foot forward. And then find that angle on your back foot that's comfortable enough to guide your left hip point forward. Inhale the left hand and that block up towards the sky. Feeling that reach. And then looking up with your heart and your eyes, the third eye, the throat chakra. Slight back bend, inhaling into the front body. Exhale, bring gaze forward, align that beautiful line of the spine, and take your right hand to the right thigh. Just keep that knee nice and engaged and lifted as we fold there at the right hip. Maybe bring that block to the floor, or you can find some other anchor point. Keeping the spine long is really the goal here, as well as rooting through the feet, keeping that micro bend in that front knee so we're not locking it out. Pyramid pose. Inhale into the spine, crown to root. Exhale, bend the right knee slightly as you bring that block back up, keeping length. So we've just made space in our spine. And then take the block to the floor. And we'll try our little flight here. So anchor through your right foot, bend that knee, tiptoe your left foot forward, keeping the hips squared off. Let's hinge at that hip, right hip, as we connect to the back foot. And maybe we take our wingspan out. As a string of lights, aligned, connected. Take the hands back to the hips. And the left foot finds the floor. And we step on back into our mountain pose. Excellent work. Inhale the arms up to the sky. And we're going to wingspan dive down to your favorite body of water. Hinging down in a forward bend. Take that block. Place the block on the floor. Take your hands to the block so that you put it in its high position. Just use that extra anchor with your hands on the block. Inhale into a flat back here. And then exhale. See if you can release the spine a little bit with the legs straight. But if you have any issues with disc issues or anything, please bend the knees. Hanging head down. Release the mind, the brain. Bend the knees. Walk the hands out to down dog. See how this downward dog feels. A nice gauge for our practice. Breathe. Bend the knees. Come towards the floor. And then onto your side, and we'll come on to the back again. Rolling up into our bridge position. We're going to do a bridge roll. So take your feet to the floor, take your fingertips to the back of the heels so you feel that length of our arms on the mat. Take a tour of the body for a moment here, just with one breath, traveling through the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacrum, root. Exhaling, touring back up. Great. Pressing through the feet. Feel free to take that friend, your block here, place it between the thighs, just to add extra strength for our inner thighs. Inhale the hips up into bridge. Roll the spine up. Sternum shining towards the chin. So this pose also allows the back of our third eye, the back of the skull, connection, brightness. Take the fingers, clasp them together underneath your sacrum. And see if you can roll the shoulders back a little bit more, hunching ourselves from any of our holiday hunching. Let go of your hands, and then roll your spine down to the earth. Touch down with your sacrum briefly. And then we're going to roll back up. Roll up. Take the elbows to the mat, fingertips to the sky. Really feel that leverage there. And then reach on up in a hug towards the clouds. And then next to the ears, arms next to the ears. So we're just toning the entire torso here and all those energy centers. And then sweep on up to the sky, elbows down, curl it. Follow another breath upward. Elbows reaching out and up. Ease yourself down to the mat. And remove the block. And we'll roll over onto the side. In the spirit of unhunching ourselves during the holidays, I'm going to suggest to do blanket supported fish. So we're going to have our blanket rolled up. Those of you who feel like you want to go further, you could place a block under the shoulder blades. I like to have a blanket, a block nearby just to cushion our heads, whatever you need to do. But this is going to be, our anchor is at the 3/4 point up the mat. Roll the blanket. Again, don't go too high if you haven't done it a lot. Or have the block handy so you can adjust. Take your feet to the mat, just like we were doing. Spread the toes, just like we were doing earlier. Curl the spine down. The backs of your shoulder blades are going to hit that blanket. Hands to the skull. We're going to push down with the feet towards the bottom of the mat. Feel that sliding down that happens in the shoulder blades. And then the shoulder sockets are going to find the floor. And then the back of the head finds the floor or the block. So you can take the block under your head so that you don't have to really strain that neck. Keep the feet bent. Sorry, keep the knees bent, goodness. But make sure that the shoulder blade, the shoulder sockets are easing towards the block. Gosh, darn it. I can't talk. To make sure that your shoulder sockets are easing towards the mat and that the shoulder blades are on the blanket. There we go. And take the arms out to our T so we can really expand across the collarbones. And then gravity is our friend. You can take your knees together here if you want to ease through the low back and the feet out to the side. Just feel the luxury here of that release through your back body. Find 3 luxurious long breaths here. So a deep inhale and a longer exhale. Perhaps you can remove the whatever's under your head after a few breaths if you need to. But this should feel like a complete release, no tension holding you. And then you can lengthen out your legs if that works for your low back. This can be a complete game changer for your day if you are feeling hunched over. Notice the breath and how it's affected by this support beneath you. See if you can just find a bit more release into those shoulders towards the mat, melting even more each exhale. Giving ourselves the gift here of a tiny restorative practice. Another lengthening inhale and exhale here. And we can ease out of this just by rolling onto our side and placing that blanket over beside you, coming back to the floor, taking the knees together, back to that position, the knees together, feet wide apart. Take the thumbs to the elbow creases, lift that above the head. So you feel that lift there and lengthening of the sides. And then we're going to take the right, crazy legs here. So we're going to take the right knee to the left foot and trace it back up, protecting the low back as we trace then the left knee down to the right foot. And then back up and down again. And just continue this nice, easy windshield wipers in the legs. And you can take your elbows, just keeping them above that crown space. We're going to take them side to side, away from the direction of the legs. And the gaze is soft, just stargazing. Excellent. Feel that lengthening on your sides of the thighs. And then bring the forearms up towards the sky. So they're above your eyes. And we're going to take them side to side here. And then allow the head to go side to side in the opposite direction of our elbows. And then allow your eyes to follow the elbows. This is a wonderful everyday pose. If you only have time for one, just to bring liveliness to your spine, fluidity. Calmness, vagal nerve reset. Another couple rotations here. Notice as you do this, does this affect your breath, your state of being? Homeostasis. Trying to calm everything down. And then bring the knees back together. Drape the arms next to the body. Allow the palms up towards the sky. Receiving whatever you'd like to receive. Press the elbows into the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then allow that melting to happen. So now we're set up on top. Let's take this down to the root. So take our legs long. Take the feet into a position of standing. So as if they're pressing on a surface. Spreading the toes. Inhaling all the way to the feet and exhale, allow the feet to flop out to the side. Releasing there. And now we can find the breath. Again, beginning at the base of the spine. breathing as if you were breathing through that root, through the red light of Muladhara. Exhaling, traveling on up, breathing into the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana, orange light. Right on up to solar plexus, Manipura, yellow light. Inhale through the heart. And exhale, radiate that green light. Blue light of the throat chakra, Vishuddhi. Feel that radiating outward as you exhale. Then we'll go to the third eye, indigo. Breathe in through your third eye. Clarity of their inner vision. Exhale. And then find the crown, the light above the crown of the head. Inhaling through there. And exhaling, sending that radiating energy outward. Sending good energy outward and further outward. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bend the elbows and the knees. Roll onto the right side. Ease yourself up to a seated position. Hands find each other in prayer position. And then we can roll out towards lotus. So take the back of the hands together, roll outward, offering out goodness and bringing that back in from every one of us towards the heart, back to prayer position. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.